Okay, so I'm m.t.karthik, and this project is called Sonne, and Sonne is is to my understanding the German phrase or words or term for the sun, Sonne, and it's titled Sonne because at one time I was very interested in getting this shown at the Frankfurt Book Fair through Bookland, but that's some years ago, and then it just kind of stayed. After a long conversation with Christopher Wilde about the various languages of Europe, there was an interesting point that kept coming up, this idea that in German it's Die Sonne, whereas in France it's Le Soleil, you know. So there's this kind of Germany being the only place surrounded by all these places where the moon is feminine and the sun is masculine. Germany is an unusual language. German is an unusual language in the case that this is reversed. So Die Sonne is this female sun. And this book is designed with 3 centerfolds. It's an edition of 6. It's meant to be a flip book, and there's going to be a fabric cover. This fabric is a substitute fabric actually for now, but the other material will be slightly different in color. So I'll have a fabric cover, and the notion is it'll be soft in your hand when you're flipping it or when one's flipping it to read it. The way I like to compose is using time as a kind of border, and in this case what I was doing was using 2008, the year of 2008, the recession year, the dawn of that, if you will, just before the September revelations of all the banks in the United States of America. One way to measure the success or financial success of, I think, social entities in a neighborhood is to look at flyers and material that's put out for free and given away, which in the United States, well, nowadays everywhere is produced at such a high level. So this is all material from the year 2008 in Oakland and Berkeley, North Oakland, well, really all of Oakland and a small amount of Berkeley, small part of Berkeley, this area where I'm living. And so that's the material from which we're drawing to make the edition. The book itself then, the binding becomes the container for this year's material. After looking through the material and thinking about a lot of things, I created a binding that makes 3 centerfolds. So there are 3 distinct centerfolds, a major centerfold in the center of the book, and then 2 centerfolds, one on either side. And each of them has different features, but the centerfold will have a compact disc here. Although now technology has changed a good deal, and this may end up being a memory stick. That's kind of an interesting adjustment that may happen. But as with all of my books, there's an audio element. Is that true for all of them? I guess that's true for most of them, shall we say. So there's going to be there is a very specific audio element here in the centerfold. So this edition of 6 is a 7x4 flip book, and the materials are, as you see. I'm just going to describe what's been done so far so that there's some idea of the scope and scale of the project, but there's a good deal still to be completed here. And I don't want to speak too much about what hasn't been done, so I'm just going to kind of walk us through what has. Initially you see through the hole in the cover a litho-printed image of Krishna taken from Orissa in India. I don't know if you can see that so well, but that hole, of course, will be all that you see, and there'll be fabric here. So through the fabric you'll see that image. And then when it opens, you see this is left unattached because these will be attached once the fabric is sewn onto the cover. So those two will actually be held together in that manner. And then you open it and you see the title page, Sonne, and there's this kind of parachuting Krishna landing in North Oakland, if you will. And there's text here, and this is acrylic and collage elements. These are from bookstores in this case in North Oakland. And again, another bookstore. Many of these are bookstores. The independent bookstore, of course, suffered tremendously, particularly in this era of the financial crisis. I mean, it's just absurd what happened to small independent bookstores. You have the double whammy of digital technology just making printed matter go away, and the recession. So a lot of these are from, and many in the area will recognize this from bookstores, various independent bookstores. And you have a kind of placement. The first section places you very well into the United States of America and into kind of the area where we are. And there's even a globe here that's going to have... I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to add some elements that are here. Well, no, I won't do that. But this globe center has a very specific top here. And you come to the first centerfold, which is a poem by Wendell Berry, printed from a beautiful page. Came from a local publisher these were being thrown out. So there's a gorgeous poem about a warbler here and an image of a warbler. It's kind of nice in the first centerfold. Then you get to the second section. Here there's a remarkable sort of relationship that comes out of Bach and Buffalo Bill Cody. Some timelines about them and their relationship concludes that section. And then you enter the middle bit, which is really kind of exciting. I found a book on the street. It was images from Palestine, and they were black and white images taken by some 100 and something years apart, 1857, 1977, so we're talking about 120 years apart. And in one of the images, it's the exact spot where I was standing in 2003 when I went to visit Palestine as a journalist, and I had a microphone, and I was miking a person speaking at this exact spot about something that happened at this exact spot. So it was kind of chilling. I had this image of that place in 1857 with trees, and you can see the dome still, and the minaret of the Mosque of Omar. This is from the city walls of Jerusalem. But then, of course, it looks so different in 1977. Just concrete everywhere and walls everywhere. And then there's this story that you hear in 2003. That's the centerpiece from St. Stephen's Gate in Jerusalem. And then that enters into this really, like, now we're getting somewhat political, but I'm trying not to be as directly anything. I'm rather letting what the material around me expresses be a part of what's in the book, and the people where I live are very anti-war, generally speaking, and so it's very easy to collect material that speaks to that. Stop the war now. This button is actually going to be the closing button on this. To mimic the circle on the front, we have the circle on the back, and the closing button will be that button. But some remarkable imagery from press around here during this time. Some poetics. It gets kind of interesting. We're using flyers, so all kinds of material happens. At this point, the 2008 Olympics, of course, in China, there was material about that. So you get the basic idea of Die Sonne. Die Sonne is an edition of 6. They're all exactly the same, and all of this material, or a good deal of it, will be collaged eventually into this book. I don't know much more to say about it than that. There's a very specific kind of plan, and in the end I think you'll find a lot of what I'm trying to do is here, this mixing of media in a manner that, well, what I dream is that people sit with my books one day in the future, alone in some museum or some library, or in some collection for that matter, and are able to sit quietly for an hour's time with this single object and think about all of the touchstones that the images within it touch upon, and memories. The audio itself is very short in this case. It's only a 2-minute and 35-second audio, the clip in the middle from St. Stephen's Gate. But to hear that, and to reflect on the time that this piece is attempting to border. Okay, so I am M.t.Karthik, and this is Die Sonne in progress.